Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is a general guide to facility events in Dragalia Lost as of Dream Big Under the Big Top being added to the Event Compendium in May 2020. If you're watching this in the future, don't worry too much. Facility events all tend to work similarly in Dragalia Lost, so most of the tips and tricks we discussed today should roll forward to future content. Facility events are limited time special events focused on single player, in which you construct a new facility in your Halidom and use its bonuses to help clear challenge battles featuring multiple waves of enemies. Besides granting a damage boost to your adventurers within the event, the namesake facilities from this event type offer permanent stat increases to your adventurers in Dragalia Lost based on their element or weapon type. This permanent reward is one of the main draws of this event type and is part of why many past facility events are present in the Event Compendium as a way for players who missed their initial release to catch up. We'll use Dream Big Under the Big Top as an example for this video. When you first open the event, you'll see some basic story chapters interspersed with lower difficulty quests. These narrative snippets and easy battles are meant to set the stage for why you are building a facility, and the nice thing is, they make it so even a beginner can at least read and enjoy the event story. As you play through the event story content, you'll eventually reach a turning point where the main cast decides they need to gather materials to construct some type of new facility relevant to the plot. The way you'll do this from a gameplay standpoint is that you'll collect 3 tiers of drops: bronze, silver, and gold, which vary from one event to the next to fit the flavor of the event itself. The bronze tier of materials are the ones used to level up your event facility, and you get them by playing boss battles in the facility event. In the case of Dream Big Under the Big Top, the bronze material is called Circus Canvas, the silver is Big Top Balloons, and the gold is Colorful Bouquets. You can freely trade these materials up or down in rarity from an event treasure trade, which includes lots of valuable items tied to the event. By continuing the event story, you'll eventually be given the special facility for the event and prompted to place it within your Halidom. For Dream Big Under the Big Top, the facility is a circus tent that boosts the stats of light adventurers. At its max level of 35, this facility gives an extra 9.5% HP and 8.5% strength to light adventurers permanently, plus a 175% damage boost to all adventurers within any quest in the event. And as you can see, even at level 30, it is still quite strong. At their max level of 40, light altars give an 11.5% boost to both HP and strength, so having the circus tent is almost like having an extra light altar, just slightly weaker. That's why it's recommended strongly that you collect and try max out the exclusive facilities from facility events. Your primary goal for the early part of the event is going to be to gather enough bronze tier materials in order to up your event facility level. To gather up bronze materials like Circus Canvas, you should repeatedly play the event boss battle that comes in beginner, standard, and expert difficulties. The level of your event facility limits which difficulty levels you can access. You need a level 5 facility to play standard, and a level 8 facility to play expert. The best drop rates are on expert, so as soon as your facility can be leveled up to 8, you should farm the boss battle on expert exclusively for additional bronze tier drops until you have enough to hit facility level 35. There's also a harder version of the boss battle called an extra boss battle or EX boss battle, which can be unlocked randomly each time you clear a boss battle on expert. The EX battle costs no stamina or gather wings to play and has even better drop rates for bronze tier rewards, plus a chance at rare items and a small amount of silver and gold drops. Just like with raids, this is almost like a random free bonus quest. However, one key difference is that in facility events, you can't stack or accumulate multiple EX battles at once. You have to play one in order to have a chance to unlock another one. As a consequence of this, playing expert boss battles on auto repeats isn't recommended for facility events because when doing so, you can only obtain at most one EX battle for the entire repeat play session. Whenever you see an EX battle unlocked, it's best to play it right away so any future expert battles can unlock additional EX runs. Farming boss battles to level up the event facility is much more efficient when using Wyrmprints with event perks that increase your bronze material drop rates. In particular, every facility event has a free 5-star Wyrmprint tied to the event that boosts material intake from quests within it. There are usually also a few other Wyrmprints available in the shop with event perks, and you can even quickly filter for them. The free 5-star event print can be distinguished by the fact that it typically only has one passive ability plus 2 event perks, making it great for farming but usually not worth advancing to max level. A common tactic with facility events is to equip as many perks on your team as you can without hindering your ability to actually clear the content. Intake bonuses stack across all members on your team. The maximum on each print simply refers to the maximum perk you can get per each adventurer. I'd also recommend you just use whatever prints you get for free from the event. Other prints from the shop aren't bad for collection reasons, but facility events often give enough free prints that you should be able to clear their rewards out at a good pace without needing to purchase additional Wyrmprints at the cost of precious Eldwater. Let's use Dream Big under the Big Top for a tangible example. The free 5-star print is called Astounding Trick. When max unbound, it increases Circus Canvas intake by 50%. In other words, using 4 max copies of this print on your entire team will give you a plus 200% increase on Circus Canvas drops. The 3-star and 4-star prints from the shop, Welcome One and All and Slow and Steady, also increase canvas intake. Since these prints aren't free, you do get slightly more Circus Canvas, plus 75% when max unbound. If using these prints, you can get up to plus 300% bonus intake across your whole team instead of just plus 200%. If you already have these prints or just want to collect them all, they're good to use, but by no means necessary. Some event-related Wyrmprints also increase your point intake. The point system has a unique name for each event, but it's essentially a milestone list of rewards that culminate in a final reward at 1 million points total. You earn points from any quests you play in the event, but you earn significantly more for the challenge battle quests that unlock once you hit a facility level of 10. Generally speaking, the boss battles are used to grind materials to level up your facility and clear out the event treasure trade, while the challenge battles are used to accumulate points for milestone rewards. Challenge battles also drop silver and gold tier materials in higher amounts, but it's usually more efficient to trade up from bronze drops, since those can be gathered in mass from boss battles when using Wyrmprints with event perks. The points you earn in a quest vary depending on battle conditions and how your team is designed. This includes bonuses for not taking much damage and using all dragons and units of the preferred element. Ideally, you should try and increase your point intake in such a way that you're roughly able to clear out the event treasure trade and hit 1 million points around the same time. I think that 30,000 points per challenge battle is around what you want to minimize grinding. Some early point rewards include extra copies of the free 5-star event print, and by the end you'll get lots of consecrated water and Eldwater. Historically, this is why facility events were thought of as a good source of rewards for leveling up prints and unlocking the co-ability upgrades on adventurers, while raid events were more focused on dragons. As an example from Dream Big under the Big Top, the points in this facility event are called Renown. You can get plus 50% Renown from the free 5-star Astounding Trick Wyrmprint when max unbound. Put this on your whole team and that's plus 200% Renown. For comparison, the 5-star Wyrmprints from the shop, Stellar Show and Dragon and Tamer, each give you plus 150% Renown when max unbound. Using only Wyrmprints of that type from the shop could lead to a max Renown gain of plus 600% per quest when considering your whole team. And it may sound amazing, but the thing is, this tends to be overkill because you'll reach 1 million points way before the event ends, and you'll still have lots of goodies to trade for left in the event treasure trade or dailies to complete. So just like with bronze drop intake, point intake is perfectly fine to boost solely using free prints rather than prints from the shop. Oh, and just like with all treasure trades, it's usually best to clear out the precious items first. In this case, it can also be good to clear out any event Wyrmprints to make future grinding more productive. The challenge battles themselves come in 3 difficulties: Expert, Master, and Nightmare. Nightmare only appears when facility events are actively run, not when they're played from the Event Compendium, and they have grand bounties attached which work similarly to raid events. By completing Nightmare challenge battles daily, you'll get precious items from the bounty like Sunlight Ore and Damascus Crystals. Drop rates for Nightmare are identical to Master, so you only need need to do Nightmare once per day, while Master is the go-to for repeated farming, since its drop rates are in turn better than Expert's. Challenge battles tend to start off pretty tough, and you'll notice even smaller enemies are relatively tanky. This is because these battles are designed around the fact that the event facility will eventually grant a 150% or more damage boost when it reaches max level, so the content gets easier the more your facility advances. If even doing the Expert Challenge battle feels impossible to complete, it's usually a sign you should spend more time doing the regular boss battle to accumulate more materials to further level up your event facility. I find that an event facility around 20 or more is a good place to be to easily clear the challenge battle content. Another difference between facility events when actively run and those played from the Compendium is that the former typically has daily endeavors for gathering bronze tier drops, clearing a challenge battle, and earning a certain number of points, to name a few. When the event is actively run or rerun, there are also usually slightly better rewards, and the drops from challenge battles can include rare items like event Wyrmprints and 5-star weapons. That being said, both active instances of the event and the Compendium version will have static endeavors for things like hitting certain levels with your event facility, completely clearing a challenge battle, and so on. And of course, both have the most important reward of all, a permanent facility added to your Halidom which confers a lasting boost to some of your adventurers. Whereas boss battles can be steamrolled with relative ease, facility event challenge battles do require a bit of strategy and can represent a formidable fight, especially in the early to mid game. These can be tough even for late game players, in part because they often opt to equip all event perk Wyrmprints. Challenge battles are definitely the highlight of facility events from a gameplay standpoint, and they usually present 5 waves of foes which climax in a boss fight. The waves are often designed in such a way that enemies unleash multiple overlapping hitboxes, making planning ahead paramount for success. It's worth testing and retrying challenge battles to learn where enemies spawn, the order they appear in, and which represent the biggest threats to your team. You can retry or quit challenge battles without losing stamina, but be careful. If the whole team dies, you'll still clear the quest with diminished rewards and your stamina will be spent. There's only about a 1-second window to quickly navigate to and hit the retry button after your team wipes, but before the quest ends in a clear instead of a completion. The fun thing about facility events is learning via trial and error about how you want to approach each wave using the units and resources at your disposal. You can use skills to try counteract your foes from particularly dangerous moments, or dragon at key times to stagger all enemies and preserve your HP. It genuinely feels like you're forging through, and it's especially rewarding to see your plans come together. There's also many abilities and mechanics which don't see much play in Dragalia that shine in this mode. For one, slow moves with large hitboxes that tend to perform pretty badly in endgame fights are fairly respectable in facility events if they can defeat or immobilize multiple small foes at once. Likewise, axe units really shine in facility events due to how their force strike can hit and catapult lots of enemies. Striker's strength and related abilities that scale off how many enemies you've defeated also tend to be very good in challenge battles. By the time you reach the boss wave, you'll have slayed lots of baddies. And ramping and using dragons tends to be good in this mode too, especially dragons with big hitboxes. You'll get plenty of gauge in facility events, so liberal shapeshift use during hard waves is recommended. Afflictions like sleep, stun, and freeze also stand out here since they can stop lots of enemies in their tracks. Using a bunch of level 1 Wyrmprints with event perks can mean your team's stats are slightly lower than normal, so healing and defense can also come in handy for facility events. This is especially true if you prefer to auto battle, but stuff like healing double buff and defense buffers are perfectly solid for this mode. And just like with raids, Phoenix and Freya are good calls if you're struggling to make progress. Just be warned that most challenge battle boss enemies have 1 or 2 purple attacks that can one-shot you or your AI if you're not careful, something no amount of healing will compensate for. Some things that are slightly weaker in facility events include full HP passives, because the nature of many small enemies means you're more likely to take random chip damage. Skills which target one foe with no splash damage are also slightly worse, and ranged characters in general can struggle here because locking on to a specific target is hard when there are so many ads on the screen at once. Facility events usually have one affliction that stage hazards and the boss cause, so adventures without the right affliction resistance are slightly more at risk too. It's rare for a facility event to include multiple afflictions or multiple bosses, but there's at least a precedent for each of those things happening. I'd also add that you shouldn't be afraid to include off-element adventurers or dragons on your team just because it'll reduce your challenge battle point intake. And I'd personally still include Yuden on all my teams due to his player EXP ability. Just remember that these adventurers are more vulnerable and try protect them accordingly, especially during the boss phase, by timing your skills carefully to grant iframes to your entire team. In general, faster clears tend to be much safer because there's less of a chance the boss enemies in the facility event will use one of their purple attacks and catch an AI off guard. Knowing the boss patterns also helps with positioning and recognizing when you need to iframe a move. For example, the Manticore boss in Dream Big Under the Big Top has lots of attacks with red areas of effect, and these tells make it comparatively easy to plan around and dodge. But some moves, like its tail bash, come out quickly with no indicator area at all. These are the types of fast attacks you'll want to try and iframe. Lead units with low SP cost skills or high SP generation are excellent for this purpose. Other facility bosses with fast attacks that come to mind are Trolls and Cyclopes, who use quick spin attacks. Another thing that helps with facility events is general knowledge of the background mechanics of the game. For example, ranged characters have only 80% of the defense of melee characters. Recognizing this might lead you to opt to control your ranged character to better protect them, or lead you to swap to them during difficult segments for defensive shapeshift or to manually move them to safety. A lot of performing well in facility events comes down to good overall fundamentals in your Dragalia gameplay. And, well, that's just about all I have to say on the Dream Big Under the Big Top facility event and on facility events as a whole. Lots of facility events are now available in the Event Compendium, and the rewards and permanent boosts make that content well worth exploring. Whenever you have downtime in Dragalia Lost or need a sink for stamina, be sure to check out any unfinished Compendium events. Farm up their boss battles to get a level 35 facility, then go to town on the challenge battles, all the while using as many event Wyrmprints as possible to boost your point and bronze material drop intake. When you finish the 1 million point milestone, ride out the event on expert and EX boss battles and trade up bronze drops as the fastest way to clear out the event treasure trade. That's just about all there is to it. Anyways, I'd love to hear what your Dream Big Under the Big Top experience has been like, and whether you have any other tips for facility events or the compendium in the comments below. If you're playing this event for the first time, I'd also love to hear your take on the circus event story. Otherwise, everyone, I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time.